And I'm wondering if do you like that I just pop up at random times during the day, or do you think it would be good to have a set time to put these videos and content out? And if you listen to the podcast, it probably doesn't matter. But for people who tune into the live streams, let me know. What do you think? Would you want these to go out at a regular time every day? I will work on making that happen, and let me know when you think would be a good time to see this kind of content. As it is, I'm talking about asking you whether you bury the lead. This is a well-known phrase in journalism. I'm going to explain what it's about, and we'll find out if you, as a speaker or presenter, do this in any of your content after the titles. Well, let's try that again. Welcome to the Daily Present with Johnny Ball. Monday to Friday, talking about public speaking and presentation skills and the tools of influence and persuasion. Dance along now.
Wow! Come on, groove along. I said, baby, I know.
Welcome to the Daily Present. It's great to have you with me. If you're not already following on YouTube and you want to be notified when I do go live or when any of the podcast episodes with guests are coming out, do make sure you subscribe to the channel. I put out some additional content there when I get the time to do it. It's not always easy, and any content creators will know that. But to follow me on YouTube, look for Present Influence. You'll find me there. Search for Present Influence, then look for the bell icon and give us a thumbs up on the videos and a like and subscribe, and then you will get notified anytime there is any content going out. For some reason, my subscribe promo isn't working. Let's get that fixed later on. Okay, so what is burying the lead? It's a term that's used in journalism on a regular basis, and this is about burying the most important story in amongst other stuff. So imagine this, you're watching the news. So let's do this now. Welcome to the Daily Present news show. And so in the news right now, Prince Harry has decided that he is going to work for a coaching company in the US, talking about the virtues of coaching and how it's helped him. He is now going to be taking a job as a professional coach. Also in the news right now, there is an enormous boat that is blocking the Suez Canal and blocking shipping lines from coming in. In other news, we have made first contact with an alien species, and and they are benevolent and they want to help us change the world and be our friends. Now, out of those stories, which one would be the biggest news item? You would think making first contact with an alien species. Now, this hasn't happened, by the way, but yet, anyway, you'd think that would be the lead, really, wouldn't it? I mean, a bit more important, perhaps, than Prince Harry becoming a coach or the boat that's blocking the Suez Canal, both of which have been current news items this week, in the week of this episode. But that's just one of those things that would be burying the lead. That's the most important thing, and it's not there upfront when people need it. And yet speakers do this as well by not answering what's known as the WIFM, W-I-I-F-M, which is the what's in it for me question that your audience is going to be asking. Now, this came up for me in a Toastmasters meeting last night, and we were very privileged to have a guest who I've had on one of my other shows, Points of Change, Sabi Sengupta, and he was talking about evaluations. I invited him as a previous European champion in World Champ. I'll try this again. I invited him as a previous champion in the European evaluations contest for Toastmasters back in 2015 to come and speak to our group about what makes a good evaluation. And so he asked the question to us all, like, what's the first thing that you should put in your evaluation when you're giving somebody feedback? And so I was saying, oh, well, I would make sure I thank the speaker first of all. And someone else is saying, oh, yeah, what I liked most about what they did. And he said, look, they're not wrong answers, but maybe the best thing to do, think about if you are waiting for an exam result, what's the thing you most want to know when you get a paper back or you're checking your exams? Do you want to know whether someone considered your essay answer to be particularly good and like some of your user phrasing or stuff like that? What are you looking for? You're just looking for the grade. It was sage advice. It's like, okay, the first thing you need to give them in terms of giving feedback is how did they do? Give them the overall performance. And that's the what's in it for them. But for a more general audience, you have to have a hook that's going to keep them in and listening to it. So the hook for this episode would be about burying the lead and finding out whether you do that. And so when we talk about having a hook, you don't need it to be clickbait. Now, don't put clickbait on your hook because it's ultimately going to annoy people and irritate them in the long run. So if you don't need to be buzzworthy, you don't need to be one of those sites that's like, you will never believe what happened next, or this random story will blow your mind, and it probably won't. So avoid clickbaity titles, but have a hook that is actually compelling and relevant to your audience. And if you have a universal audience, it's going to need to be a fairly universally relevant hook that you use, but you do need to have it there. If you're doing sales letters, if you're doing internet email marketing, if you haven't given somebody a reason in the first line or so to read on as the what's in it for them here, then they're probably not going to. You're going to lose them very quickly. And that's just as true in public speaking and presenting. So get to the point as quickly as you can. Tell people, well, here's what's in it for you, and make sure that's the first thing you give them. So understand that the first thing that most people are asking themselves is, okay, well, why should I care about this? If somebody starts telling you a story, even if it's one of your friends, and they're telling you all the places that they stopped in on their walk, and maybe or what the cup of tea they had tasted like, and like, you're going to be, oh, why are you telling me this? You would hope that there would be some point or purpose to it, and maybe later on they get to some kind of point. But again, it's burying the lead. It's burying what you really want to know. You don't need to beat around the bush here. You don't need to go around all of the houses before you get to the actual point. You need to give it pretty quick and get up front. So it doesn't mean say that's the only thing you give. Once think about it in terms of the news, right? They'll give you the brief headlines, and then they'll go into more detail and information. So you have an idea what's coming up, and you probably have a pretty good idea whether you want to stay tuned into that. There may be other TV shows as well that may be in more of a set format that you might be looking to see what the show's about or who's on the show before you decide whether you're going to watch it or not. That you are getting that what's in it for you right up front there. And so you may or may not watch based on certain criteria. It's the same with your speeches and presentations, your online content creation and the likes. Make sure you have that hook there and give people what they need up front as quickly as possible. I've been just as guilty of this as anyone else, and something I work on being better at. People need to know what's in it for them. And you as a speaker, as a presenter, whether it's a professional speaker or whether you're doing that in just in a professional environment, you need to be able to answer that pretty quick. Okay, that's it for today's Daily Present, but I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. Stay subscribed to the channel, and do look out for an episode of Speaking of Influence coming out tomorrow, maybe more than one. If I can get my act together, it'll be more than one. And of course, Points of Change, the new episode of Points of Change will be out on Monday, and be back with daily episodes every day next week. So I'll see you then. Have a great rest of your day. Get back to work. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe, and make sure you follow me on social media. Check out my other shows, Speaking of Influence and Points of Change. And wherever you are, have an amazing day. Time to get back to work.